Here at the Faculty of Civil and Geodetic Engineering, here at the University of Ljubljana in Slovenia, first-year students must take Mathematics 1. Now, to pass the exam of Mathematics 1, they first have to pass the written exam, which has more practical questions. And then after they pass this one, they have to pass the oral exams with more theoretical questions. Now, to pass the first one, the written exam, they could either take the test at the end of the semester, they have to achieve at least 50%, or they could take 2 partial exams that are scheduled during the semester. Now, to attend these partial exams, they need to pass weekly quizzes that we open in our Moodle classrooms first. Each week we open a new quiz. It stays open for about 14 days. Each quiz contains 5 questions and they are of different types. They could be maybe close or multiple or single choice questions, more theoretical, maybe more practical, drag and drop menu questions. Now, for a student to successfully complete the quiz, he must answer all the questions correctly. But on the other hand, he can repeat these questions as many times as he wants to without any consequences. When a student answers a question incorrectly, an explanation appears, and he can read through the explanation and then choose the button "Try again with similar question." And the system will give him a similar question, and then ideally he would learn something from previous mistake and answer this question correctly and move on to another question. Now, in this picture, we see a multiple choice question with very specific explanation. So this explanation is meant for this specific question. However, on the second picture, we can see a closed question with a general explanation. Since in this map of these closed questions, there are about 20-30 similar questions, and the explanation fits them all. In the last picture, we see a drop menu question with explanation that includes just some basic definitions. The aim of these quizzes is for students to learn simple notions, maybe definitions, maybe some theoretical background before coming to class, and well, in practical part of the class where we work with assignments, so we can compute more complex assignments. Now, after answering all the questions correctly, the gray rectangles underneath the quiz, they turn green. We allowed some exceptions for students. Maybe they missed a date, the finishing date or something. So we allowed that they missed 2 out of 6 quizzes that are needed for the first partial examination. Now, our expectations were that students start the quiz, they make some mistakes, they learn from these mistakes and repeat with similar questions, and then they know how to answer correctly. Now, we analyzed 30 students of this school year 21-22 out of 94 that attended the first partial colloquium. We took first 10 students who achieved the highest grades, which is 70 to 90%, and we colored them dark green, and we'll call them group 1. So that is their score on first partial exam, 70 to 90%. Then we took 10 students whose results were median, and they achieved 30 to 45% on first partial exam. We shaded them light green, and we called them group 2. And then at the end, 10 students with lowest achieved grades or percentage, which means 0 to 10, which this is really low. We call them group free, they are blue colored group. Now in the next table we see we have number of repetitions for every question of first 6 quizzes. We highlighted boxes with 5 to 9 repetitions of a question with orange and repetitions above 10 with dark red color. We see some rows highlighted with light red color, and those are the exceptions we talked about before, meaning the student did not finish quiz on time, but we allow them to attend the first part of partial exam. Now the first glimpse of this table tells us that there is 1 exception per first and 1 exception per second group, while in third group we find 7 such exceptions. The average of repetitions for all questions and for all students was 3.79. Now group 1 had average of 1.9, group 2 had average of 3.89, and group 3 had average of 5.52. So we see the difference already here. Now it is also easy to see that group 1 had only only 2 students who repeated their separate questions 10 and 24 times, which these are dark red boxes at 6th quiz. The number of such questions rises dramatically with group 2. We have 26 such questions. Group 3 is even more telling. We have 42 such questions with additional 35 questions unanswered. While in first group we have 2 distinct students who repeated a question more than 10 times, the rest did it below 10 times. Now in second group we only have 1 student who answered all the questions below 10 times. And in group 3 there's also just 1 such student, and this one didn't answer 10 questions, so he missed 2 quizzes. In the table in front of us, we have average number of repetitions per each question per group. It is interesting to see that the differences between averages start in first week, which I have to stress is the first week in our faculty for most students, meaning they didn't attend any other faculty before coming to us. And even the averages of maximum number of repetitions per question per group gets bigger as we move from group 1 to group 2 to group 3 in every week. In the last graph, we can see average number of repeats of questions per student versus score on first partial exam. So left we have group 3, in the middle we have group 2, and on the right we have group 1. These are their averages per student now for all the questions for all 6 quizzes. What is interesting to see is that group 3 had averages above 3 and group 1 have averages below 3. We can see close relations between the average number of repeats and the result achieved on the first partial exam. Now, we saw that the educational part of quizzes is missing with most of the students in group 3, meaning they make a mistake, they read explanation, they learn something. This is completely missing in some students at the end of semester. So to solve this problem, we could either limit the number of tries. We're not sure how the system, how to play the system to accomplish something like that, but also with doing so we take away some of the control from students. This is not unlimited tries anymore. This is limited and it's a bit of control taken away from them. So the other solution would be, this one is a bit more elegant, to just set a timer between 2 different repeats So they can repeat a question, sure, but they have to wait few minutes, maybe 3 minutes, and that would mean for 10 times to repeat one question, it would take them half an hour, 30 minutes, which is not ideal if you're doing it on the last day, as most of the students from group 3 were doing. So they wanted to catch the last day, the closing date, and that's why I am guessing that's why they start clicking mindlessly, just to get to the right answer. So this is it for me.